sub when needed. Klaus almost sitting back, playing a lot more Viper. And I think, honestly, statistically in this tournament, doing a little bit better of a job than Nats is currently. And that's just, again, one of those cases where Nats, I think, had to rethink his playstyle. He said in an interview with a press conference that people tried to kill his playstyle, I suppose is the better way of going about it. But it's that adaptation. And Crew having various different looks. One of them is go very, very freaking quickly onto a site, but they also have that adaptation to slow things down. It's just Gambit want to play super, super slow. How do you deal with that?
I mean, so much of Crew's game plan centers around Kesnet, and we have to speak about Kesnet. This guy, I think, coming to the tournament, we had murmurs and rumors of how great he was during scrims, but Ryan, on that stage, he's been absolutely insane.
Yeah, comparing him to Defo as well, who has been an absolute animal for Gambit in this tournament as well, similar to Chronicle in the sense that he has had to perform his heart out in order to keep Gambit in the clean for the most part. I think what makes Kesnet so good is that adaptability across agents, of course. The majority of stuff that we're going to see him rolling on is that Reyna, but even stuff like a Breach on Fracture. It's those kind of things that you go, there's a lot more depth to this player than shooty gun. This is such a young talent, and that's the thing. These are the two youngest teams in this tournament. Full stop, out of the 16. Yeah. So it's the fact that both Gambit and Crew can go the distance, and Kesnet is certainly one for the future.
I mean, he's incredible. This guy's like a 6'8", 250-pound, just lean muscle gaming warlord of a player.
He's a chance.
So many people weren't really looking towards Crew when people are putting together the top 20 player list and whatnot. I'm calling you out, Flat Chat. Only one person from Flat Chat put him in the top 20 players at this tournament. He has made such a statement. He is still the only player that has the super ace, getting 6 kills in a round, and then he gets another ace in that map, and it was in a loss. The man put up incredible numbers, coming up plus 15 in a loss on Icebox. It's just astounding to see what he is able to achieve. And if Gambit are going to find success today, they have to figure out a way to shut him down.
Yeah, they have to indeed. Well, let's hear from the fragging machine himself. This is Kesnet.
Hola, soy Kenny Deus y juego para la escuadra de Crew Esports. Obviamente me siento fantástico por lo que estamos logrando y personalmente con mi rendimiento fue una de las cosas que me tiene más orgulloso. Obviamente representar a Latinoamérica es algo honorable y estar en parte de esta historia es algo que me tiene orgulloso. Es un honor enfrentarse a jugadores tan buenos y tener esta oportunidad y obviamente dejarlo todo en la cancha y veremos quién se lo lleva.
I mean, they still got that Cinderella story going on. And if they are able to beat Gambit today and advance to the grand finals tomorrow or take the trophy home, Ryan, no one is going to forget who this guy is.
No, not at all. He's just going to be a player that people are keeping an eye on, representing, it feels like the whole of South America as well when it comes to that kind of performance as well. And it also has an impact on LATAM as a region, right? So a lot on his shoulders, but so far Crew haven't really been fazed by the pressure. In fact, they've been stacking it on the enemy teams.
I think you'll also find North America try to piggyback on the success of this spot as well. At this point, they're desperate for something.
Yeah. They're counting LATAM now. We see you, NA. We see you. Right. And let's head into the map vetoes now. When it comes to the picks and bans, we know what Gambit are going to do. Achilles, they ban Haven. There we go. They ban Haven every single time. But what are Crew going to do?
I was deliberating over this for the longest time, and I think that it's got to be either Icebox or Fracture. They had 2 first picks on Fracture going up against Furia and Sentinels. They lost on both of those, so I think they're going to look to steer away from that map, but it's actually going to be Icebox, which is a lot of respect given to Gambit, who have looked a bit shaky on that map throughout this tournament.
It is very much a pick your poison situation for Crew overall. Gambit picking the Breeze as well is rough. There's a couple of maps that we haven't seen from Crew this tournament, and realistically, Crew would want the Haven and the Split because they're the maps that they beat Sentinels and Fnatic on. So the fact that one of them is just unavailable at this time, I thought they might even sort of lean towards Split for their pick, but it's a real hard gauge. Breeze is going to be a tough one considering how Gambit have looked on it. 13-0 earlier in the tournament against Team Secret, and a bit of an awkward series against X10, but still dominant on the attacking side.
I will say that Redgar said, backstage that he thought Fnatic should have left Breeze open because he thought they could have exploited Crew's Breeze. So Achilles, I'm interested to see what game plan they have, knowing maybe something that we don't know behind the scenes, but Crew, they locked in a scent.
Yeah, and I like this pick for them, but going back to Breeze, as you say, I have to hope that they have workshopped something for that map. They haven't played it since August 19th, so they've had a lot of times to try to get prepared for that one, but it's still going to be a tough one. But I really like Ascent because this is one of those maps where you can just go in, hard hit a site, you know, multiple ways to play around it, whether you're going through main, playing through mid, and that is Crew's playstyle. So when they can just get in onto a site within the first 15 seconds of a round, that's where they have been excelling.
Yeah, what you just described as well is exactly what X10 did to Gambit in order to win that series as well, right? So it's a case of how Gambit are going to feel comfortable on that map because it's looked awkward. Now it's a case of Gambit bringing out the split. So this has suddenly got into a really difficult series, I think, for Crew. The two top maps when it comes to win rate and how they've performed, not in this pool at all. Considering they have to play Breeze, which they haven't played since the qualifiers to Masters Berlin, and Ascent, which they beat Furia on and lost pretty handedly to Liquid. It's going to be a tough old go, and Crew taking out the Fracture is, again, one of those cases where they haven't played it this tournament. Gambit look all right on it, to say the very least, from previous ones. Bind is another map the Crew haven't played this tournament, so it's not quite the same playing field for Crew this matchup, so could be scary, to say the very least, for them.
There's a lot of unknowns because we haven't seen them play it so far at Champions, but historically, they are quite strong on it. They have an 80% win rate on Bind, so you would think that maybe they can handle Gambit on that map if it comes down to the decider. Gambit, obviously, we think back to, versus Vision Strikers and shutting them out of the tournament with Bind, but they did lose it to Vikings in this event. So,
yeah,
it's a bit more up in the air.
I think as well, like, I remember just the Sadak plays on that map for Vikings, right? So I'm looking at, if we get that far, like, if Klaus, I don't even think he's played Viper on that map, because again, it's been a while. There's been a bit of a change up on what roles Klaus and Zeno are playing, but I have to imagine that they're going to have to bring up something new, which is also meaning something that's untested, right? So it has to be a bright start, and hopefully Crew's Breeze is good enough because Gambit's looks pretty exceptional. They're attacking first, and I think they've only lost 2 rounds out of 20, and won 12 in a row against Secret, right? So that's a big start.
Well, this is going to be an interesting series for sure. We are stepping away now, but don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to welcome the players on stage shortly. Well, before the break, we spoke about the map vetoes. They are locked in now. It felt like from the both of you that this does lean towards the side of Gambit just because, not even the picks, Ryan, because of the bans, right?
Yeah, it's just the fact that those maps that Crew looked exceptional on are no longer in this map pool, and the stuff that is left is stuff that at least Gambit is comfortable on. Bear in mind that Gambit, out of the 3 series that they've played, they've lost 2 of their map picks. The only one that they won was a Breeze, and that was 13-0, so that's a good thing for them, but it's not comfortable, and it hasn't been for Gambit. They should be the favourites here. They should be considered favourites still in this tournament at this point. It's just the fact that they've looked a little bit iffy, and the upset team of Crew is coming a knock-in.
Yeah, I think that if Crew can get the ball going here, and they can just consistently apply pressure to Gambit, they might be able to break them. They've been pushed to the limits in their past series. You think about that Vikings versus Gambit on Icebox, where they were barely able to scrape by that victory after running, 7, 8 consecutive rounds back to force it into OT. I think that Crew are a very momentum-based team. I think if they can get that going, it might be insurmountable for Gambit to try to reset.
Also, they don't care about being a map down. Like, this is a team that seems to thrive when they're map down for some reason. And also, Kilios, in the past, we have criticized for Gambit where when the pressure is on, sometimes they look a little bit shaky, whereas for Crew is the opposite.
Yeah, and I think that is like the exact kind of team that you need to have, the exact kind of mentality you need to have when you're at this stage of a tournament. Because if you can deal with pressure and then push it right back onto your opponents, that is such a strong suit for you when you're in a semifinal, when you're looking to get to your first grand finals, the first grand finals in the history of VCT Champions. So I think that Crew have themselves positioned, at least mentally, in a very good spot. It's about how Gambit starts this series, because if they come out swinging, if they're able to establish control and Crew can't wrest that away from them, that's when things look very scary for LATAM.
Yeah, it's the big idea of who is dictating the pace, because Gambit not only like to play slow, but their whole game plan is just dividing and conquering. That's why I think Nats is so good, because he plays on a Cypher, anchoring a site against 4 players that are attacking him. He isolates them into 1v1s, takes it down to 3, takes it down to 2, takes it down to 1. Gambit are like that. If there's a mid lurk, the rest of the team will come in to try and pick off that one player, put themselves in an easy 5 versus 4, and then just pick away. Their retakes are patient. For Crew, it's almost the opposite. It's stacking up. It's how they space and execute a site, playing off of each other. Who's going to be the one that's playing fast or slow? And that's going to be difficult on Breeze because it's so big anyway. What kind of speed is the map going to be played at?
Well, I can't wait to find out. This is it, guys. A fight for a spot in the grand finals. It's time to welcome Gambit and Crew onto the stage. Well, Gambit has been the team that have ended so many underdog stories, X10 Vikings, but will they do that to Crew today? I'm interested to find out, but seeing Kesnit and Nats walk out together, Ryan, especially after that jokey little dab from Redgar and Klaus, it gives me chills a little bit. These two are big players on this stage.
And they respect each other as well. Like Redgar will say, oh, I went to see him yesterday, they're all really nice. It's like, where's the anger? Where's the trash talk and stuff? But I think it's just a case of both these teams so young. We're going to see plenty more of them in the years to come. But two very different approaches, two very different cultures as well. The slow, stoic CIS team versus the fiery, very loud in some cases, LATAM team of Crew. You couldn't ask for a better matchup when it comes to where they are in the world and also their styles. For a team of, on average, 20-year-olds as well is pretty baffling.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest people, probably the two people who are feeling the most pressure right now in this moment on stage are actually the coaches. Just trying to talk them up, make sure that they are mentally focused and prepared for everything that is about to be thrown at them on either side. So that pre-match speech holds so much importance that, people who have never competed, they can't really comprehend it. So curious to, wonder what they're even saying to them in this moment to get them prepared for the semifinal.
They're also such different coaches too. I feel like in the style of, like, N sort of just kills you with his stares and the silent, like, assassin type. And obviously on the side of Crew, it's just noise. Just noise.
Owner is just like, he could be a football manager as well, just from the way
he looks like a football manager
as well.
Yeah,
right. Like, it's the tracksuit as well. He's sort of like a Argentinian Tony Pulis, I think. So
that's such an insult, Ryan.
It's not. It's good. He looks great. It's one of those kids. Also, bald buff as well.
Out of all, Pep Guardiola? Hello?
I just mean it's the tracksuit that gets it for me.
I don't know much about football players or coaches, but I think he just looks like Jason Statham, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch has been cranking it up with some of his puns he's been making.
How many films could we get in this cast, I wonder?
Yeah, I challenge him. But we got to talk about Breeze looking ahead to it. Brian, you mentioned Chronicle on the Killjoy since they swapped him there. Of course, the last time they played this, he wasn't on the Killjoy, and he did say that he actually prefers to play Killjoy here, which is weird given his Sky was pretty good.
Yeah, it was just a case of, like, that was the big change that we saw in that initial 13-0, and then they moved back to the Sky. So I would imagine that they'd place it here just because it's a bit of a curveball. Maybe they were hiding strats, didn't want to show too much on a map like this. And Crew, well, we haven't seen it in months at this point. It's got to look different than what it does on screen, and it does. Mazzino on the KO.
Okay, we're into the Prime Gaming Agent Select. What do you make of this, Achilles? We got another KO.
I mean, not shocking that we're going to be seeing Gambit really just stick with what has been working for them on this map, where they do come in favored. But the